All right. Hi. Welcome to Carriage House Conversations. We are number 10 today, and we are with Jason Hurwitz, Williamsport Wedding Music. I would like to say, honored to have Jason with us today. He does violin music and a quartet that we don't have here nearly often enough. So that's why I really wanted to talk to him. So you can get the feel for what he has to offer and why you should have him at your wedding or event or anything. But to have live music at your wedding in the field on the patio is so different than, I love my DJs, of course, but to have that string quartet and hear that beautiful string music is so memorable for everybody. It's just beautiful. So we're going to talk to Jason today and what they have to offer and what you can expect from them. So welcome.
Thank you.
First, we're going to learn a little bit about you, your life, where you're from. So tell us about, I know you're married, you have children. I see Ziva just had a birthday.
Just turned 6 years old.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your family life, where you grew up.
Sure. So Jason Hurwitz, and I'm born and raised in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. I started playing violin when I was 5 years old. Actually, wanted to start playing at 3 years old when I saw Yitzhak Perlman on Sesame Street playing for Oscar the Grouch. My parents said, "You're not quite mature enough yet," but they had the foresight to put me on the waiting list with the best violin teacher in town. And so when I was 5 and still asking if I could start playing, there was a spot waiting for me. So forever indebted to my parents for that. But yeah, so I've been playing violin since I was 5 years old. I got my undergrad degree in music education. Before that, I should even back up a little. I played in the Strolling Strings at Williamsport High School. All 4 years I was there. I was an entertainer, violinist, costume character, dancer at Knoebels. I was a fiddle player. Yeah, I was a fiddle player at Hershey Park for 2 summers. Got my undergrad degree in music education. Then I went out and toured professionally as a violinist for 4 years with a group called Barrage. We did about 40 weeks a year on the road. About half of that was international, half of that was in the States, playing everything from middle school auditoriums where we would go in and work with student groups, student ensembles, all the way up to 7,000 seat arenas, alongside Jerry Seinfeld and Blue Man Group and Cirque du Soleil. Finished that 4 years of touring, which was an incredible experience, and did a short contract in Atlantic City with a Cirque du Soleil style show as the onstage violinist with death-defying things happening all around me. And then went back to school, got an MBA, an arts administration degree as well. Worked in the nonprofit performing arts for a few years after that on the booking and presenting side of things. And then transitioned now about 8 years ago into the world of financial advising, following in my stepdad and my grandfather's footsteps to help people with their finances. So it's been an interesting ride, but what has been consistent all the way through that, from the age of about 11 when I played at the first wedding I ever played at, is that I have been playing weddings as a passion. I don't want to call it a hobby because I really enjoy it, but I've been playing weddings since I was 11 years old. And so that's really followed me through all of these other twists and turns and curves in my career path. I've been playing weddings the whole time.
That's so interesting. I had no idea all of that. Are your parents musical? Are they musically inclined?
I don't think they would be offended if I say not too much. No, they're not really.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting thing. My brother, great cellist, but he would tell you he's not a musician either, right? So it's something I saw Yitzhak Perlman on Sesame Street when I was 3 years old, and something just sparked, and I love it. Now, my grandparents, my family, my parents, my brother, everybody is very into music, but not to the same level, I'd say, that I've made it my profession, and it's been, sort of core to my personality my entire life.
Now you talk about how you toured all over, all those experiences that you've had. They're amazing. I had no
Yes.
idea. We've had people who will bring in string musicians from different parts of Pennsylvania or different parts of the country, thinking that, they're getting top of the line by bringing these people in. And they are great, of course, they're
Absolutely.
great. But
We're right here.
I know.
Exactly.
When these people are here playing, I'm like, but Jason, you
Yeah.
could have just had Jason. I mean, those people are great, yes, but he's fabulous. The group that he plays with, the Williamsport Music, they are fabulous. I mean,
Well, and it's
in our
not,
backyard.
and I appreciate you saying that because, we're not putting all of our time and energy into building a lot of followers on TikTok or YouTube or any of that. Most of the musicians that I work with have full-time jobs. But what's really awesome is that Williamsport is a breeding ground for excellent musicians.
Mm-hmm.
All of the school districts in the area have outstanding strings programs. We have, nonprofit and extracurricular schools of music and private teaching studios and private teachers that are producing top-notch musicians. We're very fortunate to have the Williamsport Symphony Orchestra here in Williamsport, which attracts a ton of great musicians and talent from the region as well. And so what's really nice is that, I've had the experience of touring as a professional musician around the world, but I am very much right in line with a lot of the musicians here in Williamsport who have excellent skill sets, who have amazing musicianship, who in many cases are better musicians than I am. And so when I'm booking a wedding, when a couple decides to hire Williamsport Wedding Music to play for their wedding or to provide the soundtrack for their special event in any way, I know that the musicians that are going to be playing that music are world class, are top notch, that everybody that I hire has decades of experience playing weddings, can sight read music, knows what we're doing, knows how to handle even the hiccups that come along when, the flower girl runs out before she's supposed to, or the ring bearer decides he's not going down the aisle unless mommy or daddy's carrying him. Right? We've seen all of those things because we've all been doing this for decades, and we are all professional musicians. So it's great to bring somebody from out of town if you really want to pay for that, but we're local and we're not going to be as costly because you don't have to pay for hotels or the travel expense. If we're being totally honest, I live like 3 minutes away from Herman and Luther's. So I love when we play here, not just because it's a beautiful venue, not just because we get to work with Becky and George and the staff here, but it's really convenient. It is really convenient in addition to all those other benefits.
So a string quartet. So I'm going to say it's a stupid question. Are there always 4 of you?
So it depends on what the couple is wanting to have in terms of music. So it's not always 4 of us. Many times couples will choose to use our string quartet configuration because it's the loudest option, because there are the most musicians, 4 musicians, 2 violins, a viola, and a cello. So it provides the loudest option, which is great, especially for outdoor weddings. But it also provides the most harmonies because there are the most musicians. So we can have the lead violin, we can have the second violin on harmonies, the viola on harmonies, the cello on harmonies. So we have a very full, rich sound. But because there are 4 musicians, it costs a little bit more, not significantly, but a little bit more. So sometimes couples will choose to instead use our string trio, which is 2 violins and cello. A little bit softer in the sound, a little bit less in harmony, but still a great, beautiful sound, still a lot of music that we can choose from for the couple. And then every once in a while, and we don't do this too often, but every once in a while we'll use a duet where it's 2 violins or a violin and cello. I've done 1 or 2 gigs, violin and guitar, and I'm even starting to look at doing a solo violin thing with backtracks, but that's not released to the world yet, unless somebody out there is, I guess that's true. So if you're looking for that, there you go. But my personal preference is still the string quartet, because we can do everything from classical, traditional music all the way up through pop covers of whatever you're hearing on the radio. On the radio today, we've played it all. We've done it all. We can do some jazz stuff. We can do traditional, Celtic music. We can play within the traditions and the styles that you want to hear, or that couples want to hear as part of their wedding experience, to make it as customized to them as we possibly can.
So that's really cool when you hear the string, but like a pop music that you hear on the radio. So
Absolutely.
So anyone can say, I want to hear this Taylor Swift song, let's say, and
We're there.
Easy peasy.
We're there. Cool. Yeah, and that's been a really neat thing. In fact, I'm proud to say that even as far back as middle school, high school, which is a number of years ago now, I was picking up my violin, turning on the radio, and trying to figure out how to play along with the pop stuff, the country stuff, the hip hop that I was hearing on the radio. Before that was really a thing that violinists were doing. That's relatively common these days, but 25, 30 years ago, it wasn't. And so I've maintained that interest across all these years of playing different styles with my violin. So we are fully adept. All of my musicians are fully adept at playing classical music. If what couples want to hear is Pachelbel's Canon and Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring, and Leclerc de Lune, or whatever it might be, we can play all of that, and we do, and we love it. But if you also want to hear Ed Sheeran, and you want to hear Taylor Swift, you want to hear, Walk on the Moon, we can play all of that as well, right? One of my favorite, actually, recessional tunes that we played was a couple years ago now. A couple requested that we play Shut Up and Dance as their recessional tune. So they were getting married out on the field, they finished the wedding, they kiss, everybody's clapping, and here we are playing Shut Up and Dance to get them off to the next part of the event.
Nice.
Right? So yeah, whatever the musical tastes are, we will work with our couples all the time to do as much customization and play as many of the tunes as you're wanting to hear as we possibly can.
So you'll do ceremony, you'll do cocktail hour.
Dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
that's nice for dinner too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, oftentimes, you talked earlier, I love DJs too. I've got a lot of friends. In fact, I think in another lifetime, I would have been a DJ. I used to do that for fun at college parties, right? But many times DJs will include or not charge much more to have, music playing during dinner. So that's an easy option, right?
Mm-hmm.
To just have it, set it, forget it. That's nice and easy. But for the ceremony and the cocktail hour, it is so nice to have live music. So we do a lot of ceremonies, a lot of cocktail hours. We do some dinners. And then we can also play other types of events as well, non-wedding events.
Right.
So, if there's a baptism party or a birthday celebration or even a corporate event like a business meeting or, board of directors or let's do a client appreciation event. Those are events that we can provide really great background for as well.
Yeah, how nice.
Yeah, I know Williamsport wedding music, it's catchy and it works really well for search engine optimization.
Yeah.
But it is a bit limiting in that people think, oh, they only do weddings. We actually do a lot of different styles of events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything, I was going to say anything you need to add, but let's say how far in advance does someone need to book you?
So I'd say on average, our couples are booking us probably about 9 to 12 months in advance. Certainly January becomes a very popular time to reach out to us because of engagements happening over the holidays.
Yeah.
But we sometimes can put together a gig in as little as 1 or 2 months. It depends on availability of our musicians, obviously, because they are playing with the symphony and accepting
Right.
other gigs as well. But if somebody reaches out and says, hey, we've got an event coming up in 2 weeks, I'll try and make it work, right?
Yeah.
So certainly the more advance notice, the better. But we can try and make it work in as little as a couple of weeks if that's what people want.
And I know we love you having you here at Herman and Luther's, very close, but do you travel, and how far would you travel for an event?
Yeah, so certainly if you're getting married on a beach, we're happy to travel there. We can talk about travel arrangements and costs and all of that. We haven't done it yet, but the nice thing is the music will be played nicely wherever we're doing it. But our standard territory, if you will, is really within about a 30 to 45-minute range of Williamsport. It's a nice, easy radius for us. And then if you're outside of that, we start to charge for mileage and all of that, which makes total sense, and we're happy to do that and make that work. But we also have friends in the same type of thing, string quartets, that it might make sense for us to refer you off to as well, who would do a good job playing as well. So, yeah.
Excellent. You ready for some fun questions?
I am, but I want to say one more thing that I think is really important,
please.
because Herman and Luther's is a beautiful venue inside and outside. Sometimes people think that we're not going to be able to play because they're getting married outside.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to just kind of clarify that we're happy to play outside. We just have to watch the weather, because our instruments are obviously fragile and expensive. And our sheet music, actually, our sheet music is paper. And so if it starts to rain on us or it gets super windy, then it can cause challenges. So playing outside is something we do. I'd say probably 75% of the weddings we play are outdoor weddings, outdoor settings.
Mm-hmm.
But we just need to watch, and that's a conversation I have when we're talking about booking. If a couple wants to talk to us, is we talk about what it might mean if weather is not so great that day. We cannot play below 60 degrees. It's just unsafe for our instruments. But there are accommodations that can be made. And so if you're thinking of getting married outside, or you're wanting to get married outside, and it's not going to be like the middle of January, then we should talk. Don't assume that we can't do it, because playing out on the field or under the tent is just as nice for us as playing inside the barn.
Right. Yeah, fortunately, we have that backup plan of the beautiful tent. So if it's going to rain that day, you're good over there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so.
And again, we work with our couples to figure out accommodations the whole way. So, the important thing for all of this is inside, in a church, in a barn, outside on a field, we can do it, and we're happy to do so.
Yeah, and we love having a live music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can still have a DJ for dancing and reception and everything.
Absolutely.
Have both. Best of both worlds.
Absolutely. And that's the nice thing. I'm friends with most of the DJs in this area.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody that I've met, I'm friends with. I don't want to imply that I'm enemies with some of the DJs, but
I can't imagine you'd have an enemy.
Yeah. But all the DJs we work with, it's great because we've got the ceremony. Maybe we've got the cocktail hour, depending on what the couple wants, and then it's a nice, easy transition to the DJ taking over for whatever they're doing afterward, the dinner, the reception, whatever they're doing, and it's a nice way for us to all seamlessly work together. One other thing that I just thought of, just to mention, is because most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, if you're getting married outside, it can sometimes be hard for guests to hear what's being said at the front, right? By the couple during their vows, or by the officiant sometimes. And it's, in some outdoor venues, including on the field, there's no power source readily available. So what I've done is actually invested into a completely battery-operated sound system that I make available to couples who work with us. There is a small charge, but it's very minimal. It's a very sleek, clean look, and it's more than powerful enough to be heard by 200 plus guests. So that's something else that, as we're talking about, getting married outside, inside, making sure that it's beautiful and everybody can hear, there's not much worse than guests going, what did they say? And missing the vows or missing the reading or whatever it is. So that's another service that I've added in the last year or so to have available for people.
Nice.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
You think you got it all?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Are you just afraid of those questions?
It takes more than a question to scare me.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. There you go, sir.
Oh, I'm choosing?
Yeah, they're all for you.
All right. All of them.
As few, as many, whatever you
All
want.
right,
It's
let's
up
do
to
it.
you.
Here we go. Oh, all right. If you were shipwrecked on a deserted island, what 2 items would you want with you besides food and water? If I was shipwrecked on a deserted island, what 2 items? Well, of course, I'm like, well, are there trees on the island? I need to figure out, Yeah, I think if I were deserted on a desert island, what two items would I want with me? Um, I think number one would be some sort of shelter.
Okay. Makes sense.
Right, I've watched enough of these like
Naked and Afraid.
Alone, Naked and Afraid and Alone and all that.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
Like,
I think it's cool. I'd like to think that I could do it,
Yeah.
and hey, who knows what we do when we're in that situation. But if I'm shipwrecked on a deserted island and I get to choose two items to come with me, then I want some form of like sturdy shelter. And for the second thing, I think probably my violin, because I can entertain myself with that. The strings could be useful in a pinch if I need to, do something a little bit more survivalist.
Okay.
There's a lot of opportunity there. So let's say sturdy structure and my violin.
Okay. Very good.
Can I throw the question to you or no?
I'd say sturdy structure and bug spray. I've watched those shows.
How about just clothing? I don't know.
Yeah.
What was the last gift you gave to someone? Well, I'm not going to count my daughter's birthday because that was yesterday, and my wife and I did that tag team. What was the last gift I gave to someone? Oh, just recently. When was that? I don't know what the last gift I gave someone was. But my favorite gift to give someone,
Okay,
I'm going to pivot.
change it up.
My favorite, honestly, is when I play for somebody and it makes them cry. I love that. And it doesn't matter if it's happy tears, sad tears. I love that the music that I'm able to bring into the world can touch somebody in that way. So that's my favorite gift. I realized that it was in high school at Artist Rolling Strings, and somebody started crying during one of the gigs, and I just remember having one of those epiphany, aha moments. And it was it's a beautiful thing. So I don't know the last gift I gave to someone, but that's my favorite gift to give someone. It's just extra emotion through the music that I'm creating.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. That was a cop-out, but it's true.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good answer.
What do I think of garden gnomes? They're cool. I'm actually listening to a sci-fi book right now, and one of the characters is a gnome, and the interesting thing about her is that she's a female gnome, and she's like, gnomes are never female apparently. So there you go.
It's funny.
What would I choose as my last meal? I think it would be a combination of my wife's meatloaf with spaghetti, which I know is weird, but I do that.
It's like spaghetti and meatballs.
Exactly.
Weird.
Thank you. But I'm told that some people, they do mashed potatoes with their meatloaf.
They do, but when you think about it,
I like the meatloaf with my spaghetti.
all right.
And sushi. Just give me like a plate, several platefuls of sushi.
Where do you like to get sushi?
Anywhere that has good.
Yeah.
Yeah. For better or worse, traveling the world for 4 years, with everything paid for by the tour company, I was able to save some money, and I could also therefore spend some of that on nicer things, and sushi was one of my once a week I'm going to splurge on sushi. So I've had some incredible sushi, and I've had some, thank God I didn't die from it, sushi. And so, yeah.
We went to Morimoto's in Philly and had some really good
That's
sushi.
awesome.
Yeah, with my mom and my brother one time. It was a 7-course meal of raw seafood. 7 courses.
Yep.
By the 3rd course, I was tough. My brother and I were drinking martinis trying to get it, but my mom was in her glory, so we kept going.
Yep.
I mean, I love sushi, but 7 courses of all that was a bit much.
Yeah, and like I'll trust most, let's say, grocery stores sushi. I won't do sushi if I find it like at a gas station. I'm not doing that.
That's good. I love Ichiban.
Yeah, Ichiban's great. Ichiban's great, and then all the way up to like the 7-course styles where it's like you and the chef and 12 seats or whatever. So absolutely. How about we do one more?
As many as you want. It's up to you.
This is your thing. So
no, you can keep. We're only at 24 minutes. You can keep going. It's my favorite part.
What is my most used emoji? For sure, the grinning face.
Oh, good.
Right, because it's always when I want to send the idea of smiling, but the smile emoji just seems lackluster. It seems a bit too not happy enough. It's like, yeah, it's okay. I'm like, give me a smile, right? So yeah,
Full
the
teeth grin.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Grinning smile, and second would be the laughing while crying for
Yeah.
sure. I like to see the positive in the world, so there's a lot of laughing in
Very good.
ROFL. What superpower would I want to have? This is sort of like that genie question. Not that, but like the genie question. Like if you had 3 wishes, what would they be?
Yeah.
Like one of them always has to be, I want the power to just always have more wishes.
Yeah.
Right? Like the superpower I want is to be able to take everybody else's superpowers and use them also. But since I can't do that,
That's not a superpower, though.
the superpower of absorption of other powers.
It's
Yeah,
not a
okay.
superpower.
All right.
It's like flying, invisible, X-ray vision, stop time, like those sorts of things. I mean, your Marvel stuff.
It's got to go. I mean, even if you hadn't said that, time is where I think it would be great. Whether it's the ability to do more in less time, so probably stopping time or slowing time, but keeping it moving at a real pace for me.
Right.
Or adding more hours or something, because there always seems to be stuff to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it's something to do with time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, you said we're too short, so here I'll do one more, and then we'll call it. When you go on vacation, when do you pack your suitcase? Oh, night before, maybe day of.
All right, that's not a good one. Answer no. Has to be a good one.
Would I want to be Batman or Robin? That's not a good one. Of course I want to be Batman.
All right, then answer another one.
Billionaire playboy, like with all the cool gadgets, or the sidekick. Like, come on.
Some people aren't like outgoing though, and they're okay with like being Robin. Why did you put that one back?
Because I don't know the answer. What would I find in your fridge right now? So in the fridge right now, and remember, this is a house with a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, my wife and me. So you'd find some leftover cake from the birthday celebrations this past weekend, because it was my birthday as well as my daughter's.
Oh, happy belated.
There would be some fruits, a bunch of different drinks, iced tea and chocolate milk and regular milk. You'd find a bunch of salad stuff in there, some hummus, a bunch of yogurts, because the kids love those as go-tos, lots of cheese. Yeah. A lot of different dressings and sauces. This is a weird.
That's like a good fridge.
It's a great fridge.
Yeah.
It's a weird question.
It is a weird question. Sweet. Go to another one.
Oh, you just kidding. You're an enabler. I see it. Let's see. Well, that's easy. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Whatever has the most chocolate in it. Wherever I'm at. That's
excellent.
Not. What 3 famous people would I invite to a dinner party? Is this dead or alive, or doesn't matter? Dead or alive. I think
Perlman, right?
Yitzhak Perlman would probably come for sure.
We don't know that he'd come, but he'd be invited.
That's true. That's true. Last time I talked to him in person, I thanked him. Yeah, actually, when I was living in Cincinnati doing my master's degrees, I volunteered one night. I was helping a friend out who was an intern for the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, and he couldn't make it for whatever reason, so he asked if I wanted to help out, sub in for him as the intern for the night, because Yitzhak Perlman was soloing with the symphony.
Oh my gosh.
And I got there and they said, well, how would we'd like you to go with our other person to pick him up at the airport and get him to his hotel. And I was like, ah! So yeah, I was one of the 2 people that picked him up at the airport.
Did you tell him?
I did. I said, listen, all he wanted to talk about was baseball. And I'm not like a big baseball person, so I didn't have a lot to contribute. But at one point, breaking the conversation, I said, I just want to tell you, Mr. Perlman, that the reason, like, I've had a full professional career as a violinist, I've had amazing experiences because of my violin, and that all started because I saw you perform, play for Oscar the Grouch on Sesame Street. When I was 3 years old, I saw that, and that has, precipitated into all of this other stuff, great stuff that's happened for me. And he looked at me really seriously, got really serious, he looks at me and he goes, I'm so sorry. And it was just the funniest, like, of all the things he could have said, it was just the funniest thing. And he's a very dry sense of humor, so it was perfectly in line with him. But so
That's amazing.
that was awesome. I've seen him perform 3 times, and I'm going to be seeing him again in a couple weeks.
Cool.
Perform again. An amazing guy. So yeah, I think inviting Yitzhak Perlman would be an incredible experience. If he declined, I'd say probably Isaac Stern, who's another world famous violinist now deceased, but he would be a high second on that list.
Okay.
I think it would be really fascinating to talk with one of the like super powers of like 1,000 years ago, like one of the emperors or empresses.
Yeah.
I don't know who,
Right.
but somebody like that. I think it would just be fascinating to have them sitting there and be like, so what was it like ruling millions of people?
Yeah.
Right? And then 3 famous people I'd invite to a dinner party. I think probably one of the comedians that's easy to talk to, just so that way if there was ever an awkward break in the conversation, somebody could fill in for us.
Who's your favorite comedian?
I don't know.
I know. I like all of them.
Depends on the day, depends on the week. Especially with YouTube and everything, it's easy to find
Yeah.
somebody new or interesting.
Yeah.
I might invite, I believe it's Teller is the one who doesn't speak in Penny Teller, because he could also do magic if we were having a break in the
There you go.
conversation.
And just the facial expressions
Absolutely.
to keep you
Well,
going.
and he's fascinating if you've ever heard him speak. He actually is an interesting, charismatic guy. He doesn't speak in the act, but
Right.
he does interviews where he speaks. He's actually a very fascinating person. So,
That's great choices.
thank you.
That would be a great dinner.
Listen, I'll host it here.
There you go, right in this room. Because
There
we
you go.
do dinners in the carriage house, if you didn't know that.
Absolutely. And it is beautiful. I will tell you, you can't see it from this angle, but on this side is for the brides, on this side is for the grooms, and they're stylized, they're nice, they've got private bathrooms, separate exits, so that way you don't have to see each other on the way out. Herman and Luther's has thought about it all, and it is a really great venue.
Thank you, sir.
It's true.
Thank you for coming today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having
This
me.
is great.
This is fun.
I hope you learned so much. I know I learned a lot. I mean, a lot about Jason, about his quartet. Get in touch with Williamsport Wedding Music if you want them at your events. We would love for him to be here all the time. And stay tuned for number 11. We'll have This Week with Lauren Gemberling coming up next. And she's great
Lauren's
too.
awesome.
That's going to be a hoot.
Great.
And have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.